Welcome to Prepper Talk Radio, radio for the ready-minded, the podcast for the prepared, where we focus on God, family, and country and helping you prepare for anything that life throws at you, whether it's job loss or all the way to the zombie apocalypse. We're live on YouTube and Facebook, and we're excited to be here tonight to share with you some of the Q&As. We're going to do some FAQs and share with you some of our thoughts and feelings. Maybe not give, we're going to give our best answers. They may not be the answer, but they're going to be hopefully some decent enough answers. Just want to remind everybody to go to our our website at preppertalkradio.com, download our resources, join our email list. Also join us at, on Facebook. We have a Facebook group so far. I know that several people have been asking about different alternatives to that, and we'll figure out something. But for now, it's Facebook. Emergency Prep and Self-Reliance is our group. Do a search and join that group, and we'll get you in there and be part of the conversation as soon as possible. If you'll remember, though, if you're listening live with us, please click the like and button and make sure that if you want to share it as well, that'd be awesome. But if you hit like, that lets the algorithm know that there are people are watching and people are liking it, and that might shoot it out to more people and help us get more people prepared. So welcome to the show. And I know that we've got a few questions that we've compiled. One thing that we love is if you have questions, we're going to try to do Q&As on a regular basis. So if you have a question that we don't answer today, shoot us an email at preppertalkradio@gmail.com or go to our Facebook group and put the question there. That way we can address the question on the next live that we do Q&As. So Scott and Shane, you're on today. The three of us, we're all on the show today, and we're excited to be here. How are you guys feeling?
Excellent. Like Paris.
I'm so excited because this is the time where I actually get to breathe and actually feel like a normal human being. And so to connect with you guys, connect with the audience, I'm grateful because work is work. And we actually just talked about this in the last podcast. It's like you go to work from 9 to 5 to pay the bills, and then the rest of the hours are to do either to be prepping or to be building another empire, like whatever you want it to be. Like, and this is my whatever I want it to be. And so it's nice to be here. It's nice to be part of the group.
Yeah, Practical pointed out it is May. I'm not sure what you mean. Practical question, May. Yes, it's May 1st, and I think maybe we should have labeled this podcast Mayday, right? It's first day of May, and it's there's a lot of stressful things going on out there, so we could all use a little bit of help.
Well, I just want a quick reminder to those of you who are listening on the podcast later. Please click on the review and give us a 5-star review if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes. I think Spotify and Apple Podcasts are the two major places people are listening. If you'll give us we hope we deserve a 5-star review. Give us an honest review, and we hope it's a 5-star review. How about that? And put a few things in there as to why you like our show, so that we can help promote the show on those platforms as well. So that's my question to you. Are you listening on one of those podcasts? And then will you please give us a 5-star review? I said please. That should count for something, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Please and thank you.
Please and thank you.
They're the magic words.
Mind your P's and Q's. Mother, may I please fill out your podcast review? Yes, you may.
All I had going through my head was that Barney song that my kids used to listen to when they were young. Please and thank you. They're the magic words.
Absolutely.
Thankfully,
all right. So what are some FAQs we've found this last couple weeks here or recently that we can dive into?
I think one of the funniest ones is it's come up a number of times. Is really, when is SHTF really going to happen? And we'll cover this throughout the show, but like, yeah, we cover everything we can cover, and we talk about everything we can. And biblically, if you look at the word apocalypse, it's already started, right? We've got a lot going on, and so we'll answer that amongst many other questions today. But yeah, this is one of my more favorite topics, anyways, because we're just getting into what you guys are asking specifically. So that I just wanted to launch us with that question. But I know Shane had a bunch of questions, and there was also some questions about ham licensing lately. And we had one of our group members just got her license, and shout out to her. I'm not going to say your name just in case of privacy, but I also want to shout out to Shane for dropping me and then driving the bus right over me because I'm not there yet.
And how long? Yeah, how long has it been, Scott?
I've been talking about it for 5 years. That's bad. That's really bad.
Me too. I'm there with you, Scott. And actually, speaking of shout outs, my daughter got married the other week, and April 19th, actually, she got married. And I'm in the church building, and I got distracted and kind of got lost from where I was supposed to be as the father of the bride. And I walked up to this lady that was working, kind of helping guide, direct people, usher. And I said, "Hey, where am I supposed to be? I'm the father of the bride." And she looks at me. She says, "I know you." I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of, I was like, well, wait a minute. Am I in trouble? Like, what did I do?" She's like, "We're total fans of the show. We listen all the time." And in fact, she says she listens to the live quite a bit. She might be there tonight. If you're listening, thank you so much for your help. It was so much fun to meet you. And that was really a cool thing to kind of get a little bit of fan notoriety and public. Oh, I was seen in public. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, that's happened to me once before. A little embarrassing, but I'll take it, I guess.
I had that happen at a conference I was at a few years back when I was in Georgia. And I'm in a booth talking, and this lady's like, "So what else do you do?" And I tell her what I'm doing. She's like, "Huh." Excuses herself for a minute, comes back 2 minutes later. "My husband wants to talk to you. He listens to your show." This is when we were on K-Talk. This is a while ago. And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, we talked for a little bit, and it was funny. But like, I love our audience. Like, wherever they are, they're doing good things. They're involved in a lot of great things, and it's fantastic. So,
I'm just replying here. So
I am signing up for a class right now.
All right, do it, and I'll talk while you're signing up there, Scott. Ham Radio. What is it called? What's the website there, Scott? It's Ham
Radio Prep.
Ham Radio Prep. Yeah, that seems to be kind of the go-to place.
Well, and he's got a guarantee. He's got a guarantee that if you don't pass, you get a refund.
Yeah. No, that's good.
I'm like,
yeah. And Practical mentions, said here he's pretty much GMRS, and I get that. We had a bit of a discussion. This is, I guess, along the same lines. I had this on my list for comms and radios. What do we do? What's my setup? And I mean, to really truly go long distance, maybe you can correct me, Practical, because I just asked you how far you can reach out on your GMRS. If you want to go long range, and when you're talking long range, I mean, long range really can be 10, 25, 50 plus miles. I know with GMRS, you can potentially reach out 25 miles. You got the right equipment, right antennas, and so forth. Ham, there you go. And ham, if you have a handheld, you're limited. You've got repeaters, but then if you go high frequency, you go HF, you're pretty much unlimited. But then you got to go high power, big antennas, so forth. So my particular setup, I've got a couple of GMRS for short range kind of family communications. But when it hits the fan, I don't think anybody's going to be trying to track you down if you're using a ham radio in an emergency, right? That's what they're made for. So I won't go any further on that. But 65 watt ICOM mobile setup in my rig, and I can reach quite a ways with that. And handhelds for communicating with the base there I have in my my rig, and a couple of handhelds if I can talk tonight. And then long-term plans is for setting up an HF rig at my bug out location to speak to the valley here. That's 115 miles or so.
How many?
150 miles, huh? Practical on your GMRS. Wow, that's impressive.
How many watts do you have to do to get that, Shane?
I don't know. I really got to learn the HF first, but it's really going to have more to do with your antenna and what frequency you're on. I really have no idea how many watts you'd have to do to reach out there. It's going to be your entire setup, but
Yeah,
I won't
so
speak to that because I don't know much about it.
So far, I've been testing these GMRS ones from Baofeng, and they're 8 watts, and I've gotten just over 2.5 miles with the standard antenna. But that's line of sight. So I haven't done enough testing. I want to test now with my nice little extended whips, my Z AR771 GMRS antennas, because that should get me even farther. I don't know though. I'm a huge fan of GMRS because of the big factor of it's the simplicity of it. I can have 10 people on one license, but it's because for my little area, that's all we need.
You're up on a hill.
But for my longer, further communication, like that's why I'm going for the ham, just so that I can have that repeater ability to be able to pass information back and forth to other people and work with the larger community.
Mm-hmm.
Because when grid goes down, repeaters are gone, but the local hams are not. So if they've got power, they've got backups, they've got systems, you can bounce messages across the United States and around the world.
Yeah, I just recently started. I got WebDad brings up a good point here about Meshtastic. I didn't even say that correctly. I'm kind of retarded.
Yeah.
But I have my brother he 3D printed this case on a Meshtastic motherboard around. So, well, not a motherboard, but it's a Meshtastic board around this, and this is going all the time. And I'm driving up the freeway and up and down the freeway, and my app is like picks up different nodes, different places, and I'm like, oh wow, this is kind of cool. How many different ones of these are? Meshtastic is basically, without a better way of explaining it, it's basically text messaging. It's the same concept of ham radio. Ham radio is voice and uses frequencies to get your voice out there. Meshtastic does the same thing with text messaging. So it's a great way to communicate via text, and it's a different network. So it's
still using cell phone network though, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's its own. This is
it's radio to radio. It's just cell phone to cell phone, right?
This node. This node right here is a receiver and a relay. I think. If Garrett's listening, please correct me if I'm wrong, or anybody else. But this is apparently a way to it does so people can put these on different places, and it is line of sight still, but it gives them the opportunity to use a text messaging network instead of a vocal network. And obviously, we all know and understand that some people might say, "Well, why do you need 2?" Well, redundancy. Redundancy is important.
Now, you can also encrypt that, I believe, can't you?
Yeah, you can have encrypted channels. There's a local open channel, and I was like, "Hey, I'm new here," and everybody's like, "Yeah, we're newbies too." And so I got a little communication going back and forth with some people. Sometimes, if they're in range, they're on. If they're out of range, then or if it's turned on or off, I can't message them necessarily, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah. I started to dip my toe in, but I haven't really jumped in yet. But it sounds like I should learn more about it. That's pretty darn cool.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
But this is for the geeks here, right? This is for the technical geeks, the radio guys. It's kind of probably pretty boring for everybody else listening out there.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of questions.
House this last week on Sunday. I was at a friend's house, and he was telling me about his ham setup, and it just renewed my desire to get it myself. So I'm probably gonna jump on that with you, Scott. Maybe we can, anyways. That way we can join you, Shane, and be cool.
No, that'd be cool. We should set up a little network there, and between the 3 of us, that'd be pretty cool.
That would be.
I'm game.
See if we can reach that far.
Maybe we could broadcast live our next episode when we're all licensed.
Yeah, on our ham, on ham frequency.
Ham and Meshtastic all at the same time.
Meshtastic, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, cool. Another question that I got is if you had to pick one podcast besides yours, what would it be? And now I listen to quite a few of them. You could call them podcasts. You could call them, they're YouTube channels in particular, but one that I've shared before, and it is mainly a financial channel that I just find excellent. It's called McElvaney Financial on YouTube. Honestly, I don't listen to many other prepping podcasts or really any other prepping podcasts. If you want to know why, feel free to message me because I won't go into those reasons here, but that McAlvey Financial, it is high level financial talk, but it's very intelligent talk. So I definitely recommend that. What about you guys?
I am terrible because I don't listen or watch to really anything right now. And to be honest, in the world of prepping podcasts, I've had a hard time staying in tune with a lot of them. There's a few that I like. Like It's Doomsday, I'll listen to him every once in a while, and Mountain Readiness, I'll hop on there every once in a while. They're good, but I'm not real good at consistently listening to things. And even if you look at my YouTube browse history, it's mostly how to fix this thing on my car. How to. So I'm like
downloading from the Matrix.
I'm downloading those, and I'm actually. It's funny because one of the questions I've gotten is about how do I keep videos, and I want to talk to you guys about this in a minute, but I'll share that solution. But I'm downloading stuff on my how-tos all the time, and so I'm not really listening to podcasts, but I probably should be.
I do. A lot of the podcasts that I listen to, and I come and go on some of them, are more political oriented, like what's going on politically, so that because I realize that as a people, we're fast asleep when it comes to what's going on with our country. I mean, if you were listening to the last episode we had with AJ, our guest, he was talking about how these bills are going through Congress, and we don't even know, like all these things that are affecting our life and will affect our life, and we're like, what? So I try to stay aware of what's going on politically. I have a local podcast that's local to Utah, called We Are the People Utah. I listen to those guys.
No, they're great. Yep.
And I listen to Dan Bongino is another one I listen to. And then I have a couple other business podcasts that I listen to, because one thing I realize is that most Americans, we always talk about make America great again. Well, I feel like you got to make yourself great again by getting out of debt, by getting yourself set financially, and then prepare for what's coming and not be in the consumer rat race hamster wheel. Like if you want to control the people, control their food. So don't have food storage. You want to control the people, get them in debt. So get them, keep them in their 9 to 5, totally distracted. Like my whole idea is let's break free from that, but understanding financially is how it kind of starts. And then as you build your resources, build your skill sets, it goes to a whole nother level. So, but when I listen to podcasts, those are the kinds of things I do. Who's that guy we had on? He told the story about how he brought his wife over from Ukraine. What was that guy's name?
Yeah. I was just thinking of him the other day.
I have listened to their podcast from time to time, and I think it's Survival something or another. I can't remember off the top of my head. And I may not have time to find it to put it in the show notes, but I do listen to their podcast. I have listened to their podcast in the past. So other than that, though.
So just looking at the Beartooth website here, WebDad, you must be made of money. These things are what, $2,500 for a pair? These Beartooth. Am I looking at the right thing here?
So going back real quick, Paris, that was Chris Droulet.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that was episode 303, a real life prepper story from Ukraine. So guys, go check that out if you want to hear that story, because it's fantastic. That's actually one of the things I do like about our podcast. We are about preparedness. We're also about living a good life. We also cover a lot of different topics: God, family, country, community. And yeah, we do poke fun at the apocalypse, but it's not all garbage and games.
It's if you're not crying, you got to laugh. That's for me. That's what it's about, right? It's either you're crying, you're having a panic attack of some sort, or you're laughing. So that's why you see me smiling all the time. Like, on the so. That's my funny. 2 bits. All right, cool. So next question, I've got some more, but I don't want to be hogging all the time.
We're gonna go back.
Do it.
So
Yeah,
one of the people, they keep asking this, and it's funny. It's always somebody different, but they ask, "How do I keep track of all the stuff I need to learn for when the grid goes down?" I will download YouTube videos like crazy, and I do. And I have this little drive. It's a terabyte. Actually, no. Yeah, this one's a terabyte. And I plug it into my laptop. And every time I download a few videos that I want to keep, especially maintenance videos on my car, food processing, prepping, like knot tying. I know. There's more knots. There's always more knots to learn.
Mm-hmm.
First aid stuff. I download a ton of videos. This thing is probably 2/3 full of videos that I've downloaded from YouTube. I download them to my laptop. I move them on to my drive, and then I put this in a Faraday bag.
Do you have
I
a software that does that for you, Scott? Or I noticed recently that YouTube has a button that says download, and I click that button, but I don't know where it goes.
So they're trying to get you to buy the premium. There should be a little pop-up that says purchase premium to be able to download. Do you want it in 420K or 740K? Like, right? But there are, if you go to Google or one of the other browsers and say download YouTube videos.
Well, I have premium YouTube anyways, but I clicked that button one time to download it, and I don't know where it went.
So it probably went to your downloads.
No, it wasn't there.
Well, I don't know then.
Yeah.
But I like there's so many different ones you can use. There's PC Mag has one, YouTube Video Downloader has one. Don't click on any of the advertisements because then it tries to install all this crap on your computer. Just enter the URL of the video you want to download. Click download, and then wait for that page to change and load. Otherwise, you'll see an ad that says click here, and you'll click there, and now you've got to go through like 20 other steps to get back to the page you're on.
Yeah, now you're up a creek.
But they're free, and so that's what I use. I use the one from ssyoutube.com.
Cool.
All right.
Awesome.
I know, Scott,
Rebecca,
you use
Rebecca shows the same
technology. I have multiple notebooks just filled with notes here, and Rebecca, I'm just replying to Rebecca here, but yeah, I would go really old school. I like notebooks, but they're much harder to search through. It takes a significant amount of time to find what I'm looking for in my notebooks.
The other challenge is like I'm downloading all these videos and I'm putting them on this drive. That's great if I've still got a computer and a power station to power those, right? That's why I have a backup laptop, and now I have a power station for that laptop, for that hard drive. Like, you have to have those layers planned out. But even then, I'm still taking notes like crazy. Not near as good as you are, but I'm adding to my binders all the time.
All right, cool. Next question. Neither of you guys got one, or should I keep going?
Go ahead. I got to pull mine back up.
All right, cool. What work gloves do you prefer? So I've got some gloves here, and I'll back up from my mic here, turn up my gain a little bit. All right, so, okay, what I've got here, I've got the EXO. Dang it, you're not going to see these things because of they're getting with my background.
Same color as the green screen.
The green, that's right, they're green. It's called Ironclad EXO gloves. These are kind of a heavy-duty glove protecting the knuckles. You're working on vehicles. I like those a lot. They fit really snug. I'm kind of a freak that way when it comes to gloves or socks fittings properly. They got to fit tight. They got to fit nicely. So another pair I really like are the Hex Armor.
That's what I'm wearing right now.
We have exactly the same ones. These are a cut level 3. So you could actually grab a knife blade with these and they wouldn't cut your hand. There you go. Yep. Oh yeah, you tried it right there yourself, didn't you? So the Hex Armor, these don't fit as well in my opinion. They don't fit as tightly on the fingers. You know, They're a little long on some fingers. And maybe I have weird hands, but I am very picky about. They do fit pretty well compared to other ones, and they're a little bit on the bulky side. You know, it's not something I would use for shooting, obviously because they're meant for a cut level. So I really like those Hex Armor gloves, and they've got quite a few different models. For shooting, I really like both the Mechanics gloves and these 511 gloves. So the Mechanics, you can find these pretty much anywhere, and these are a tactical gray because I thought they were cool. And so this is kind of what I use to shoot with rifles, my AR. Still a little bit bulky in the fingers, a little bit sloppy, but still pretty easy to shoot with. Very comfortable. They're pretty durable. But for shooting handgun, I really prefer these 511. These fit like a glove. They fit really nicely. And so this is what I use when I'm shooting with a handgun. They're nice and snug. Haven't worn a pair out yet because I haven't used them enough. I don't imagine they'll last very long, honestly. I go through gloves pretty quickly, especially if I'm rappelling or whatever. Gloves just aren't. I don't know if they're just not made well, or they're just made out of inferior materials compared to, say, like calf skin or deer skin, which tends to be a little bit better. But when working in the garden or with tools, I'll just use whatever cheap gloves I have from Home Depot or wherever. And they don't last very long. But like Mike says, rarely wear gloves. And I try not to wear gloves myself. So I'd rather have good calluses. I heard an old guy say once, gloves are expensive, skin grows back. And so I hate slivers. I hate having prickly things in my hand. So I will use gloves when I need to, but I try not to use them, honestly, Mike, when I really don't need them, because I do like to have calluses on my hands. I really like to work in the dirt with my hands and not have gloves on. But I think there is a place for gloves, especially when it comes down to not wanting to hurt yourself. It comes down to SH. You don't want to get a cut. You don't want to get infected. So if you have the gloves, maybe best to use them.
I've used a lot of different gloves for different projects, different jobs. And honestly, the yellow work gloves, the yellow leather calfskin gloves are probably my go-to, because you can get them roughly on the cheaper side, $10. On the regular priced side, you're around $20 to $25 for a good pair. And I've got a pair in the garage right now that I've been using for probably 6 years. Right? You can get all the other fancy gloves and spend $20, $50, $80 on a pair of gloves, but like, honestly, what are you going to use the most? That's what you should probably stick with. And what's funny is I think mine are just the Uline special gloves, and I also have some in a insulated version, but they never fit quite right when I buy them. I've bought the Wells, I think they're the Lamont, and I've bought the Uline, and I've bought, I don't even know what brand it was at Home Depot, but the Home Depot one are the ones that I've had for, I think, 5-6 years now. I don't know whatever happened to my Wells Lamont ones. I was excited to buy them because my grandpa has those, but I can go buy another pair. But it's just like, use your hands. Just use your hands. Like, slivers can come out. That's why you get tweezers. That's why you get your Victorinox. Right? One
of the things I like about my fingers is that I feel like I have a little more traction on my hands, especially if the surface isn't very, if I don't have a really good place to grab. If I have a good place to grab, then gloves are nice to insulate. Sometimes, how many of you ever picked up something and you carried it for a little while and you set it down and your fingers can't move because we're stuck in that position? Sometimes gloves help against that. So I usually just wear gloves when I'm going to do something that I know my hands are going to get super gross or dirty or whatever. But most of the time I don't wear gloves. But I do have a pair of the black mechanics that I keep in my tool bag for when I need it, because that's the one I'll wear the most. And I like having gloves when I shoot a little bit. I'm starting to learn how to do them. And first of all, I want to get good at it without a glove, because I know the glove is a whole nother level of learning how to shoot properly and pull the trigger back straight instead of, sideways. And because Shane, I like to pull a little bit to the left. Yeah. So anyways, the more I can just use my regular hands, the better. But at the same time, I do need to train with gloves so I get that skill set up.
So I made a comment here and I used the word shooting, and YouTube rejected that comment. So then I gave another comment. I used the zeros for shooting and it went through. So YouTube is actively watching what we do and the words that we put in there. Oh, they doesn't like to see that word shooting in there. That's ridiculous.
Well, that's why people say unaliving now, right? And that one's probably censored soon too, right?
Yeah.
How rude, YouTube. Thank you, Rebecca Burton. Yes, how rude. Rude tube.
We'll call it rude tube.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, it's funny. It's like you get hit with every little thing. Everyone in the mainstream media is trying to tell preppers that they're crazy and tell the world that prepping is crazy. But what's funny is the world is seeing what's going on and everyone's getting more prepared and realizing doesn't matter if you're right or if you're left or wrong, that you need to be better prepared. That's why almost 29.5% of Americans reported last year that they're buying prepping items now. It's huge.
That's
right?
awesome.
And it's like, again, start with the most fundamental basics. Build from there. Don't go crazy buying, like, don't make your first purchase a harvest right. As cool as they are, and as fantastic as it is to have that, to be able to like freeze dry all your candies and have candy throughout the apocalypse and beyond, right? You've got to be practical in where you start.
Well, and I guess the caveat with that is unless you actually are growing foods that you don't know what to do with, and you're going to use it and for your food storage or whatever, and that is a great way to save your foods, and you can prepare your own foods and you put it in that, and you can create your own mountain house meals essentially, right? But with your own recipes. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That's an awful lot of money to be sinking. You can buy a couple years worth of food storage for the amount of that thing costs you. So yeah, so
agreed.
Be wise. Yeah, definitely be wise. They are awesome, but I got a neighbor that lets me borrow one, but lets me use theirs. So so I won't be buying one anytime soon.
So we've got one for my PrepperCon days where it's at my brother-in-law's house, and it's such a pain to move. So I just take him food and he'll freeze dry it. Like, I got all kinds of freeze dried food that he's like, I'll keep some as a payment, and then the rest he gives back. And I'm like, sweet. He even throws it in a Mylar bag for me. It's a good setup.
Very nice.
But yeah, it's not a practical starting point. Okay.
All right. I got some other questions, but you guys, whatever you want to run with.
So this one keeps coming up on our YouTube. People keep asking what redacted news site Shane is reading. It's actually not a news site. It's not a media outlet, but it is a YouTube channel, Redacted News. They're one of the sources.
I think they have a website too.
They do, and they broadcast, I think, pretty much every day, and they do consider themselves a news source, kind of like
they're not a traditional news.
No, they're definitely not traditional, but they definitely have better sources and better reports. I mean, I try and watch it at least once a week, but they'll go for a couple hours, so they have a lot of info.
Okay, I got one. What is something you keep in your bug out bag or get home bag that is unique to you that you don't think everybody thinks about or carries?
Good question. Well, here's a little something. I carry a Handline. So instead of a fishing pole in my go bag, I have a Handline. So just a fishing line on a little hand wound, just kind of like you'd keep a kite string on it, right? And just some flies and bubbles on there, or some lures, and just fish by hand. And obviously it takes up very little space, but I think that's maybe something that people don't necessarily think about much. Fishing.
I have two things. I have a large solar, it's a fire starter that's a large magnifying glass, the fire starter.
A Fresnel lens or a magnifying glass?
It's actually a big lens that's designed for starting fires, and
is it glass
no, it's plastic, but I started a fire on a 2x4 in my backyard.
Yeah,
no kindling, straight off 2x4.
Death ray.
Yeah, this thing is a death ray. Another thing I have that probably is even more just me is I have a star chart. One of those cool little star chart things, so that I can see a little bit, like if at nighttime you look up into the sky, you're like, oh, what's that constellation or this constellation? And this star chart actually lets you know like what part of the hemisphere you're in, or you should know where you are in a hemisphere, but it's kind of fun to have a star chart to kind of guide you along a little bit. That was something I have that's probably not very common.
That's actually a really good idea. I haven't thought about that. And it's funny because like there's so many stars. You look outside though, most of us, we're in cities. You look outside at night and you're like, I don't see any, or I see few. But once you get out there, you'll see a lot. And if power goes down, grid's down, you're going to see all the stars.
So Paris, I'm going to one up you, and I'm going to put a sextant in my go bag.
What?
Sextant. You know what a
Oh,
sextant is? You got to know what a sextant is, right?
yeah. I got a little nervous there with the first 3 letters of that word, but other than that,
That's the
yeah,
one that the
I did.
Mariners used,
where you
right?
can
It's
look
for
and see where
maritime. Yeah,
the
it's for
North
travel.
Star is and all that stuff.
Yeah. I know you could use it on land, but it's meant for the ocean. But I don't intend to find myself out on the ocean. Just wanted to give you a little bit of crap there.
That's awesome.
So
Can you use it on
2
land?
things that
I don't see why not. But yeah, that's what I guess a star chart and knowing where the North Star is, right? That makes a lot of sense.
So I've got 2 things that I don't know that very many people I've talked to carry: caffeine pills
Mm-hmm. I can see
and
that.
Werther's Originals hard candy.
Okay.
And I think that is my favorite thing in my preps.
The candy?
The
Fireballs.
Werther's Original.
Fireballs.
It just, I don't know. They last a long time. There's the other ones that have caramel in the inside. They're even more fun, but they don't last as long.
Yeah, the hard candy.
The hard candy, the traditional
Hard
Werther's
candy.
hard candy, just lasts a long time, or just a butterscotch candy. But I'd prefer Werther's. But honestly, the caffeine pills, whenever I talk to people about that, they're like, "Oh, that's a good idea." And I've even got little caffeine flavor drinks too. But just in case I've got to be moving a lot at night, and I've got to be traversing a lot of ground and staying awake, just that little added awakeness. And just having it, because my go bag, it's my get home bag, right? I pull stuff out of that all the time, and I get in trouble because I don't resupply it fast enough. But I keep it in the car with me wherever I go, and it is a fantastic tool. And that's, I think, how we should be using our kits, right? Using it and restocking it, using it and restocking it.
Yep.
And then every April and every October, I rotate my stuff. Like all my winter gear's out, and it's just the summer gear and water and keep myself dry stuff.
Nice. That's a great reminder.
Yes, absolutely. All right, cool. Let's see. Okay, here's a good question. How do I get how do you get out of a prepping burnout, right? You get burned out on prepping. I've definitely felt that, getting to a point where like I wouldn't going to say that I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore, but it's just like I need a break, right? I take it like a 30-minute break and I'm done. And I'm back into prepping. Right?
30-minute break.
That's about all I need. But I can totally understand people feeling burnt out about, especially when you're taking in all the news and you're feeling all the weight of everything that's going on in the world that you could do absolutely nothing about, right? For me, I mean, I think I've been doing this for so long. It's just part of my life. And I actually look forward to the bad news because it just tells me I'm right. Right. So maybe that's how you get through it. And I like to be right, and I've done a lot of prepping and spent a lot of money and a lot of effort. And not that if something never went wrong, don't think I would feel bad, but I'd like to be vindicated, right? I like to know that my efforts were not in vain. And so these weeks that they're slow on news, right? It's a quiet week. That's when I kind of get a little bit on the depressed side, like, oh man, nothing's happening. I'm like the opposite, right? Maybe you have to work past that. You have to work past it, where you worked out those muscles to where prepper fatigue. If you're not out working out, you feel bad, right? If you're a workoutaholic, you got to go to the gym every single day, and you don't do that, you feel bad. That's kind of me with prepping.
And even then, it's good to take a rest day.
It is, yeah. That's my Sabbath.
Shane, you are the epitome of an apocalyptimist.
Yep.
Like I don't have enough bad news in the world, and you need more. So I'm working on designs. I've been working on these, and I'm like, I'm not happy with it. But I have a design of a shirt that I've been working on, and I'm going to share my screen so you guys can all see it. It is not anything impressive yet, but it is a work in progress specifically for Shane and for anyone else who wants one. I welcome any edits and ideas, but this is the world premiere of the first rendition or edition of Shane's shirt.
Apocalyptimist.
Here it
T-shirt.
comes. And we're going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see this. But it says, I'm not a pessimist. I'm an apocalyptimist.
I'd wear that.
I don't know. I like it. I want to play with some designs here, but we need something along these lines.
Or
Shane.
just apocalyptimist, just
I think I've got that design too. I also got this. This was one of my t-shirt designs I sold. Get lost when you don't want to deal with people, but it also tells them to take a hike in a friendly way,
which is every day,
pretty much.
There's some great comments here by my Mike and Practical. Prepper fatigue. Don't worry about prepping. You just live a self-reliant life, and that becomes life. And that's absolutely the way I'm beginning to feel. I wouldn't say I'm obviously there, but I'm beginning to understand. And then Mike here, he's in a maintenance cycle. You get to a certain point, you've got a lot of things you need. You feel comfortable, and you step back. You look at the world at a bigger picture. You take a breath, and you kick up your feet, and you listen to Prepper Talk Radio, right? So I totally get that too, Mike. Yeah, and Rebecca here, burned out the last few months. Absolutely trying to learn something new. Absolutely, totally agree with that. That's perfect. And then of course, Practical again. This is the way our families, our ancestors lived. Don't have to be entertained 24/7. Life is about work. It's about that's really what it's about. And if I'm not working, I don't feel fulfilled, honestly. If I'm not making some kind of progress in something.
I'm gonna throw in a question real quick. Like, if you want to, so how do I build a community local to me that's involved with preparedness? And there's a lot of ways to do that, but I think one way that I want to just, because it came across my my desk, so to speak, metaphorically came across my desk the last couple of days. It was the CERT program, the Community Emergency Response Training. And every city has one. You can reach out to your city and say, hey, what's your CERT program? When is the next training? What can I do to be involved? And then you can get involved with people who are like-minded in wanting to be involved with helping when the community has an emergency. And what's cool about the CERT program, not only do they train you, you're usually trained by EMTs and fire department and police department. They actually do the trainings. You get hands-on training. I was the first time I ever really shot fire extinguisher. It was fun. And then there was like a whole thing where they took us to this place, and they have this building that's kind of a rundown building. And they said, okay, they set the stage for an actual emergency. And then we had to go and like rescue, and it was fun. And so your city might have a different program than the one that I did when I took it, but I think that's a great way to at least get involved. And then when the emergency happens, you're on a list of the first responders, so to speak, of people to help out in that community. And so I think that's a great way, among many other ways to build your community locally. That's a great way to do it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got more questions, but we're up against our 45 minutes.
We're almost out of time. Let's pick your best last one, Shane.
Oh, geez, best last one. Let's see here. Let's do this one. Well, I'm going to throw two out, but we'll answer one. In SHTF, I do. I like to tempt you guys, get you thinking, right? In SHTF, what are the top medical situations to prepare for? And the other question is, what are some basement safe cooking options, or indoor safe, right, cooking options? Which one should we take? What do you vote?
That's a really hard one, because they're both really good, and you could go.
Let's do the cooking one, right? Let's do the cooking one. That might be a little bit shorter and a little bit easier to get through. There's something I got a couple of years ago, several years ago at PrepperCon, that Herc oven that works off tea light candles. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Did I say that right? The Herc oven?
That's right.
Okay.
I've got one too.
Cool. Although I don't know, that would be quite warm, and if you're not careful, it could be quite smoky and might catch on fire. So that's on the edge of what it's meant for use indoors. That's what it's meant for. I didn't have a great experience with it because I think I used too many candles. And
I tried to do bread and burnt it pretty badly.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Here's the trick with bread. It's done when you can smell that it smells like bread.
Oh, okay.
Don't let it go any longer. I didn't know that, and I learned that since. Because you don't know exactly how hot it is, and it's hard to time. And here's what I found out. I went and did this. I almost said ancient living in the past skills, and we did this baking on a fire. And they're like, "Oh yeah, how do you know when it's done?" My wife, when you can smell it, smell like bread, it's done. And I'm like, "What?" And the guy that was running the thing is like, "Yes, how did you know that?" And she goes, "I love to bake." And I'm just like, I never knew that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Mike's
Failed.
comment here.
Kirk oven, I failed.
Yeah. So here's Mike's comment. Indoor cooking using a power station Instapot. Yes, absolutely. That will suck a lot of power out of your power station, but Instapots cook pretty quickly, and you can cook a lot of food in them. So that could be a very, very good option. You can use propane indoors, although I would do it by a window where you've got some ventilation, right?
Yeah.
And that can be done in main floor or basement. You can use obviously anything electrical range. I've got a what do they call them? Just put them on your countertop, a little range that I can take downstairs. Used to be an apartment. A lot of in the 50s, 60s, 70s had these in the apartments. Hot plate. That's what the word I'm looking for is a hot plate. Jeez.
I've got an electric hot plate, and then I've got one of those little chef version ones where they got the little twist in cans. I can't remember what they're called.
Okay, yeah.
That's it.
Induction plates are great. Yeah.
Rebecca, I was thinking of this induction plates. I was thinking, well, what is the word? There was some word, induction. Mm-hmm. So if you get an induction heater, warmer, cooker, those are good. Induction stoves, I think those are good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Why limit to 45 minutes? Because typically, because one of us has something at 7 o'clock that we need to go, and we've already have scheduled, and that's why we usually limit it to 45 minutes. But not necessarily the case today. I don't have to be anywhere. I don't know about you guys. Okay,
so what do you think don't use.
I like them. I like them both. All
right, I'm going to start sending these to print.
Yeah, Sterno, Garrett. Okay, Sterno. I don't know if you could actually cook on Sterno. I don't think it gets hot enough. It's kind of meant for warming. And my experience, you could probably. I don't know if you could boil water with it. Well, maybe so.
You guys remember the old technique? A tuna can, cardboard wrapped inside, and then you either pour wax or.
Oh, that's so smoky though. That's so much smoke comes off of those.
Yes, it is very smoky. I've used it indoor. I regret using it indoor. Use it on a deck or patio, preferably behind a fence. But yeah, Sterno is not a good way to cook because it's really just designed to keep an even heat, and it's a warming heat.
So yeah, I mean, if you have propane into your house or natural gas, hopefully that appliance will still work in an emergency, and you're already ready to go, right? That is a great way. Let's see what else here.
Butane, modern Neanderthal.
Yeah, butane is just burns hotter and better than propane. It meant kind of as a backpacking fuel, but I definitely have some in my preps. Alcohol stoves as well. Great way to go. Everybody should have one because you can make your own alcohol stove. Burns extremely clean. Obviously, just like any other fire, you need to have some airflow, but alcohol stove is a great way. To heat, to cook, anything like that. Yeah, absolutely. Blue Sterno cans. So there might be couple different types of Sterno. I think that's probably correct. Butane doesn't work in cold temps. I know butane was kind of formulated for high altitude, maybe not necessarily cold temps. That's what I'm thinking. But let's see what else. What other cool things we've seen at PrepperCon, Scott? We saw some of those. What was that one pot that?
There's
where you boil the water. Well, how did that work?
Well, you put boiled water in, and it keeps cooking it. It's not an Instapot.
What's that thing called?
Jumping jack? No.
Yeah, jack.
Well, the last
Jackery?
one we had.
No, that's the power bank.
There was I bought something at the last Be Prepared Expo. This was not PrepperCon. This is the Be Prepared Expo that Serpent put on, and they had a stone plate that you could put into a fire, heat up, and then it has a hook where you carry it and you put it at the bottom of like a Instapot, and that heat from the stone plate then cooks the food inside that thermal cooker / Instapot looking type thing. And that was I bought one of those and I was like, that is so cool because
So what's it called, Paris?
I don't remember. I think
What's it
Utah
called?
might put a thermal cooker. I think that's what it is.
It's a type
was
of thermal cooker. I think it has a particular brand name, but yeah.
No, there is a brand. It's in my garage. I could go find it.
Have you
And
tried it out yet, Paris? Have you cooked anything with it yet?
I personally have not. However, I did watch the lady at the place do it, and that's what intrigued me about it. And I was like, okay, I do need to practice the things I preach.
Yeah.
I need to repent. Is that what you're saying, Shane? Just
Therefore, I just got to call you out. Create a little bit of a controversy here, but yeah, practical. Yeah, solar cooker. I've got one of those. I have a solar oven, but yeah, I don't think they work very well indoors.
Shane. That's awesome.
Basement cooking, indoor cooking. Yeah, but
no,
but you can't. Yeah, you put that outside. You go back inside. You nobody knows it's out there, right? It's not like you've got smoke going that brings people in there. So I think solar cooker is a fair.
I have baked bread in my solar oven. Thank you very much, and it worked.
Cool.
I don't even know how to respond. Yes, you cannot.
Wood stove. I've got a wood stove at my place, my bug place, and I cook on it all the time. So if you do have a wood stove of some sort, I mean, like the old school where you actually create a fire in it, and it has
you have to have
an oven and a cooktop.
Flue though, don't you have to have a flue that goes outside?
So flue, yeah, you need obviously
whatever.
you've got to have a vent pipe, yeah, just like a chimney. Yep.
Flue. What am I, retarded? I am basically. Why am I even on this show right now?
Clay
I don't know,
cookers.
but Sue McMillan, we got a video we can share on YouTube from my friend Sue McMillan. Back when I did Ready Summit, she has 8 different ways that she teaches how to cook, and it includes some of the things we've talked about. I'll get it uploaded here in the next week or two.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, are we ready to?
All right.
Was that it?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Well, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for being here with us on the live. This was a fun one. I think we had a lot of good, fun questions, a lot of good, fun banter. Great audience participation tonight. Thank you so much, everybody who jumped on. I think we stayed at around 12 consistent viewers throughout the whole show, which is awesome. Thank you so much. For those of you who are listening later, you'll want to come and look at certain points of this video where Scott shares the Apocalyptimus designs. But for the rest of you, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for being here with us. And again, if you're listening and you're on Apple Podcast or Spotify, please hit a review. Give us a 5-star review. Hopefully we deserve that, or some kind of review. Let us know so we can climb the ranks on those ones as well. So appreciate you listening and spending a few minutes of your time with us, a few minutes of your day with us. You've been listening to Prepper Talk Radio, radio for the ready-minded, the podcast for the prepared, where we focus on God, family, and country. And till the next time, have a great day.
See you next week.